Welcome to In the Blue. This is where we help chiropractic practices go from red to in the blue. That means profits, and profits is what is the fuel that helps you build the life of your dreams, the practice of your dreams, and help reward those team members that are helping you build this amazing vision of changing patients' lives every day. As you guys know, blue is all about the data, and IQ is about solving the problems that the data helps us really identify within the practice. And I have an amazing guest today that I am really, really honored to have on the show, because Dr. Ray Foxworth is not just a guy that's built an incredible practice, but he's gone out and really saw a problem in our profession that needed to be solved in a major way, and has now built an incredible company that is helping chiropractors all across the country literally like become profitable again, be able to solve these problems that you're going to see today. So we've got an amazing special gift for you at the end of the show today, so stay tuned. But Dr. Foxworth, thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Corey. I appreciate the opportunity to kind of come into your house and speak to your family.
You know, we've got an incredible Blue IQ Nation. And what's really cool about this, Dr. Foxworth, is you are a member of that Blue IQ Nation. This is not just a guy that's building incredible companies, but he is one of us. He loves the data. But tell us a little bit about you. Like, where did you come from? How did you get into chiropractic? How did you really evolve up to this influencer now in our profession?
Wow, where to start? So how I got into the profession was strictly by chance. It had nothing to do with the fact that my mother and father were both chiropractors. And I really mean that, because I never recall them pushing me to go into chiropractic. As I was telling someone the other day, I think what I did is I went out and did everything else in the world to help me figure out what I didn't want to do the rest of my life. And then one weekend, I happened to attend the Mississippi Chiropractic Association event, and Dr. Sig Miller, who then I think was with Cleveland College and later went on to run the New Jersey Association, he spoke that weekend. And you got to understand, I've been around chiropractic literally all my life. My mom started working for a chiropractor when she was 16 and eventually went off to chiropractic college. And so it was such a common thing for me to be around. And I don't know that I ever really grasped what it was that they did. And when I heard Sig talking that weekend, I'll never forget this. I attended that weekend, went home, and about 4 days later, I went over to my folks' house and I said, guess what? I've decided I'm going to chiropractic college. My dad says, really? How long you been thinking about it? I said, since Sunday. He said, well, have you saved up any money? And I opened my wallet. I said, yeah, I got 14 bucks. Well, 14 bucks in a Honda B210 Datsun or a Datsun B210 will get you to Kansas City, Missouri. And so literally in about 3 weeks time, my wife and son and I, we packed up and we moved to Kansas City and never looked back. And man, what an amazing ride it has been.
That's incredible.
And from that, and again, I said my mom and dad are both chiropractors. Actually, my stepdad, I don't like that term, but that's what he is. My mom divorced my father, went to chiropractic college, and probably the thing that motivates or has motivated me the most, Corey, are the painful things that we have happen in life. I was just sharing with someone the other day. I can remember my mom being in practice. We had the practice in the front of the house. We lived in the back of the house, me and my two sisters. And, I was a kid. This was before OSHA. Okay. So we would rinse out the x-ray, the fluids and everything. And that was my job. I cleaned out the trash cans because that's where she developed her films. And so that's kind of how I grew up in the profession. And probably the thing that marked me the most was we all slept in the same room because it was a house office combination. And I remember waking up and hearing my mom crying. And my sister asked her, Mom, what in the world is wrong? And she said, honey, I'm down to my last 37 or 39 cents, and I don't know where the next new patient is coming from.
Wow.
And, while it didn't hit me particularly strong then, I guess what it did to me is it really made me, when I got into practice, never ever want to see someone go through that who has chosen a profession that can help so many people change their lives. And yet here they are struggling. And so my practice and my drive has been to elevate our profession, increase the acceptance, the utilization of it. And that's probably what ultimately put me on the path that I have been on. Uh,
Wow.
that's kind of the beginning time. And I will tell you, I have lived what I consider a chiropractic dream. I went from one generation when we opened in Yazoo City, Mississippi in 67. You couldn't get a license to practice in Mississippi. Wasn't
Really?
until 73 that you could
Wow.
practice. And literally in one generation, I'm a goal setter. I had set my goals that I wanted to practice in a hospital. I wanted to be part of a multidisciplinary practice. There were a number of things that I wanted to influence. And fast forward 35 years, um, my practice is located on the campus of a spine center with 13 MDs, neurosurgery, orthopedic, physical medicine, rehab,
Mhm.
PT, you name it, it's there in the clinic. Um, I was uh, elected or nominated by one of our governors to the State Board of Health, first chiropractor ever on that. Got elected by or appointed by another governor, served 12 years on that, and all hell broke loose in our state when a chiropractor
Yeah.
was permitted to be on the Board of Health.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I ended up being chairman of the Board of Health for 2 years. So
Wow.
um, I've been blessed by parents that never really told me there was something that I couldn't do. Um, and so I think that's what has allowed me or driven me to make some changes, if not in the world, at least in my little corner of the world.
You
Uh,
know,
and,
I,
and in part of that, in influencing or changing the perception of chiropractic, the hospital part. After I was on the Board of Health, I got asked by the GV Sonny Montgomery VA Medical Center to start a chiropractic department, literally from scratch.
wow.
Did that for 4 years, and that has blossomed from literally a one-room office on a wing of the hospital to now I think it's the major part of a wing of the hospital here.
Wow.
A quiet little story in Jackson, Mississippi, but we've had an impact, and it's been a fun ride.
You know, I just want our audience to understand this concept that, you know, Ray is one of those unique individuals that you have to be a strong leader, but open minded enough to not shove chiropractic down people's throats, but come into it to look to solve problems. And I think that's what I've really grown to know. What I know about you as of recent is that you just have this diplomacy where you can walk into a situation, you can see things that I would just say the average person doesn't really see. And you've got this incredible ability to communicate and work with and build common ground with these individuals that just has elevated this profession in ways that few have. So thank you from my heart for doing that.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, historically, we have spent so much time talking to ourselves about ourselves, and we get frustrated um, by the lack of acceptance, sometimes of the public and other professions. And a lot, I hear this so often. People like to beat up on the medical profession for not understanding us.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? That's not their responsibility. And the moment that we defer to them to understand us, we're lost. It's up to us, and we have to own that they don't understand us and be willing to put yourself sometimes in uncomfortable situations to have those conversations and to build those relationships.
Yeah.
Uh, and that truly has that's just kind of been the way that I have approached things, that if people are putting us down or don't understand us, it's because somewhere along the line, somebody before me didn't take the time to really sit down and build that relationship and educate them. And so, if nothing else, the people that come after me, if I can help open those doors, expand the horizons, of other professions and people that we work with. Um, my intention is to leave this profession in a better position than when I found it.
Well, you've already done that. So let's just keep the ball moving. And we share a similar. We found some commonality, just you and I, as we've shared some time together, and this drive to lift the profession, to increase utilization. I've come at it by trying to help practices unlock their profits and grow bigger and better teams to impact more patients' lives. You saw this problem in the insurance world, that you've come up with this unique solution. So if you were to define, like, what is ChiroHealth USA and why did you feel this need to create this company? How did that begin?
I have a story that I tell over and over because it's the truth. I did not wake up one day and say, geez, you know what? I want to build a chiropractic network and work with a discount medical plan and deal with all the compliance stuff. I hate that crap. I mean, I'll just be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even though I went and got my certification at one point in medical compliance, it's like you go through enough of that stuff, Corey, and it kind of makes you want to be a Walmart greeter.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Well, the very reason that I started ChiroHealth was, as my story goes, a pretty bad day I had in practice. I was taking care of, I lovingly refer to her as Miss Jones, taking care of her and her family, and they had no insurance. So I'm being a nice guy, and I lower my fees to help them afford the care. And I'm happy, they're happy, life's good. Fast forward, she's involved in an auto accident. I submit my normal fees. And a few weeks later, Miss Jones comes back in with her family. I walk in the room with one of my staff. I always have someone with me. And, um, you could just tell something wasn't right. And so, being rather astute, I said, Miss Jones, you look like you're upset. And this little sweet lady that I've been taking care of walks over to me, pokes me in the chest with her explanation of benefits in her hand. She said, Doc, I see what you charge State Farm or whoever it was, and I know what you charge me. You're ripping off the insurance companies. That's why I can't afford health care. And that was
Oh,
a kick in the gut.
the perception.
Oh my gosh. And I said, no, Miss Jones, it's guys like me that bend over backwards to help you, but I made a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
I never let you know what my actual fees were
Yeah.
or that I was trying to help you.
Yeah.
And that'll never, ever happen to me again.
I
And
love that story. And it's actually, I've heard that a couple times now. And I want you to know why it impacts me so much and our audience so much, is because I think we've all been in those shoes.
no doubt,
Yeah, recognizing that when we don't have clear communication and clear agreements, it's okay to, help people, but if they don't perceive, if they don't understand what you're doing for them, then they just perceive it as that's the normal. Like, you do that for everybody. And then this is a perfect example of that.
this story happens over and over again, all over the nation, even to this day. And then here's the kicker of the story was she reported me to the state attorney general. So pardon me, I didn't turn off my phone. This is live radio, obviously. Um, but she reported me to the state attorney general. Now, the good news is we didn't have a law in our state that prohibited you from charging less to a cash patient. But here's the bigger takeaway. There is no way that that looks right in the eye of a patient.
Yeah.
And that's the bigger issue.
Yeah.
And so I started trying to figure out, why was it okay for all of these other health plans to pay me a different fee for the exact same CPT code, but I couldn't have one for my cash patients, for my underinsured patients, for Medicare patients, for their non-covered services? And that led me, well, kind of a parallel track. I had a network in the state of Mississippi. We actually had the contract for the state health plan, 195,000 covered lives. And so that's where I kind of developed my insight into the workings of the insurance world and networks and things like that. And what it boiled down to is the reason all of those other companies can pay us a different fee is we have one thing in common with them. We have a contractual network discount. And so when I started looking at that model, it became clear that a network was the way to do this. And the way to offer discounts was by an entity called a DMPO. That's your new acronym for the day. It stands for Discount Medical Plan Organization. And the
Nice.
beauty of these is they're regulated by the Department of Insurance, just like the insurance companies are. So if we follow that model and do what they do, that's what allows our doctors to have a different fee for those cash underinsured Medicare patients for the non-covered
Yeah.
services.
So it's not,
That's
yeah, it's not fee splitting. It's
no,
actual
it is a
contractual agreement.
contractual network discount,
Keep it
period,
legal.
the end.
You
Yep.
know, because that's as chiropractors out there, we're always evaluating risk. When we bring a new patient into our practice, there's potential risk that we need to help minimize and mitigate, and documentation and communication and all those things are so important. Like, we're responsible for what our front desk team members, our billing team members say to our patients. And so when you look at how your company helps to mitigate risk for the doctor and the team, how would you say that ChiroHealth USA has stepped in to do that?
So what I learned through the medical compliance training and the just my background and experience is the risks that we have are inducements, anti-kickback violations, dual fee schedules,
Yeah,
improper time of service discounts, which we if you look across the profession, that's a very common thing. You
yeah,
charge more to PI than you do to cash.
yeah,
There are doctors who, you have the models of care where you buy 10 visits, you get 3 free. That's can be considered an inducement. You don't charge for muscle stem. You down code your exams. All of these things are designed to help us help, or we think we're helping the patient, but we're doing it the wrong way. And that's where the rules and regulations come in. And here's the frustrating part that I ran into. I practice in the state of Mississippi, and my board of examiners has rules and regulations.
mm-hmm.
Guess what? Those rules and regulations are not the same regulations as Blue Cross, Aetna's, and Cigna's. And they're certainly not the same as the OIG, Office of Inspector General, or Medicare. And so you've got these multiple layers of regulatory entities and contractual agreements that we have. And the reality is they're often in conflict. And let me give you a prime example. I spent probably 20 plus years as the Medicare carrier advisory member for chiropractic in our state. And during that time, I was on a webinar and I remember a doctor asking about, listen, we have patients who come in, the CMT code is covered, exam, x-rays, and therapies are not. We don't want to charge for the exams, or we want to give them a discount on these other services. And the representative on that webinar said, well, those are non-covered services. We could care less what you do with those, or if you charge at all. And I went, oh my God, I cannot believe they just said that. And guess what, Corey? They don't care, but
Well,
it's the Office of Inspector General
yeah,
that cares in a big way,
yeah,
because it's their responsibility to protect the financial integrity of the Medicare fund. That's
right.
why they don't want doctors giving it away. So doctors may have heard that on a webinar and think, hey, it's okay. Or my board says I can offer a 25 or 30% discount. And from the board's perspective, it's okay. But we have to understand that that is not the only lens that we need to be looking through. We literally have a hierarchy. Got to make sure it's okay with the Board of Examiners, your provider agreements, the Department of Insurance, the Medicare regulations, and the Mac Daddy of them all, the OIG. And guess what a contractual network discount does? It makes all of that crap go away, period.
Hallelujah.
Because you're following the gold standard in the insurance world, which is that contractual network discount.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
I
amazing.
just found a way to use to take what was being used against us. And when you own the company, you can use it for us.
Nice, nice. I love it. And so basically, ChiroHealth USA is coming in and making things legal. They created the framework for you to be able to, with integrity, work with your patients on these different fee schedules and be compliant, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It
So
really is about, and the reason I started ChiroHealth, obviously, and I can't tell you how many doctors we've heard this for over the years. This is that little thing that is in the back of your mind when you're quiet and still and trying to go to sleep, and you worry about audits and fines and penalties. And the reality is these fines and penalties can be devastating to a practice. And so really what we helped accomplish for the profession was really helping doctors practice with peace of mind.
yeah,
Um, uh, there are so many potential areas where you can get tripped up with this type thing. Take a new patient call. I love doing this. When I have a room full of CAs, I said, who answers the phone? And I'll ask the question, I want to role play with you. How much is the first visit?
yeah,
And guess what they do? They break it out into what I call the chiropractic two-step. They say, well, it all depends on what the doctor finds necessary. I'd be happy to schedule for a complimentary consultation. That, we evade the question. Why? Because that staff member knows we have a PI fee, a workers' comp fee, a cash fee, a mother, father, sister, brother fee. I stole that from Larry Markson. You've got all these different fees.
yeah,
Well, try this. If you're using the contractual network discount, that conversation completely changes. How much is the first visit? Well, Ms. Jones, it depends on what the doctor finds necessary, but it could also depend on what your insurance company requires.
yeah,
You shut up. Patient says, I don't have health insurance. Not a problem. That's why we're part of ChiroHealth. You can join that network for $49, covers you and your family for a full year. And no matter what the doctor does today, the most your fee is $175. Do you prefer morning or afternoon? The patients not want to know it. If you went into one of my favorite restaurants, um, serves an amazing steak, and if you went in there and said, how much is a 10-ounce filet? And she said, well, it kind of depends on how hungry you are. You
yeah.
think she was nuts.
That's
When
not.
they call our office, we go through this, the machinations of trying to answer the things right. And then here's the real scary part. If I were an auditor for an insurance company and I was trying to line up my work for the day and who I was going to go investigate, I'd just call chiropractors' offices because they'll tell you, well, it depends on whether you have insurance or not. Well,
Yeah.
geez, there's a red flag. You do that in Florida, they have a law that says you can't charge more to insurance than you do cash. And I would stay busy as an auditor.
Yeah.
It'd be really simple. So, when that type of thing occurs, literally from the first phone call, we need to understand that while our staff are trying to do a good job to get the patient in, we don't need them to inadvertently put our practice at risk. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what happens. We literally have cases of doctors that have called us and even posted on Facebook. Hey, I just got a call from Geico. And they said they were asking how much a massage was, and we told them, well, if it's cash, it's 55. If it's insurance, it's 85. And the guy said, great, I'm an adjuster on one of your PI cases. I'm cutting your bill to 55. You have a dual fee schedule, and we're reporting to you to the board. What do I do? Well, don't say that on the phone would be a good place to start.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, listen, I know that our audience would love to learn more about ChiroHealth USA. We have a lot of members already using you. It's such an incredible organization. And so how do they engage with you? We have a link below this, so click this link. But what do they get for this special Blue IQ ChiroHealth USA offer?
Well, we're going to make a special offer to all the Blue IQ members that there is no charge to join ChiroHealth USA. And in the interest of full disclosure, there's never been a fee to join ChiroHealth. I didn't go into this to make money on credentialing fees and joining fees and that type of thing. Bottom line is we want to help patients be able to get the care they need at a cost they can afford. And more importantly, we want our doctors to be able to function in a compliant fashion, not to run into a Miss Jones story or have an auditor call your office and end up costing you tens of thousands of dollars in an audit. So we've never charged to join. It is a pretty simple process. The biggest challenge that doctors have is in deciding what they want to discount their fees,
Yeah.
and try to encourage them, look, don't come up with a whole new thing and change things in your office. The reality is, if you're honest, you're probably already offering some type of discount. Just take that and move that inside of the contractual network discount under the provider agreement. And we let you set your own fees. We don't have a fee that we dictate, because let's face it, practice in New York, California, Florida, Mississippi, they're entirely different. My fees in Mississippi are not going to be the same that are on Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
So you have the flexibility of setting your own fee schedules, excluding certain items or services if you choose to do so. And even though it's a contractual network discount, we don't ever want anybody in the network that it's not working for. So you got a 30-day opt-out clause. And there's never a chance that we will sell your contract to an insurance company or another entity. Why? Because I built it that way. Because guess what? One of my contracts got sold before to a state farm, and it cut my fees drastically. And so that's why we put in the 30-day opt-out clause. I literally intentionally made the network worthless to sell to another company, because literally the entire network could disappear in 30 days. So I put everything into this agreement that I wanted as a provider. And I guess others have as well, because that's why I think we just crossed the 5,000 mark in the number of docs that have been part of ChiroHealth over the years.
That's huge. Blue IQ Nation, take advantage of this. Click the link below, schedule your consult, learn more about ChiroHealth USA, how it can mitigate your risk, how it can make you an IQ accelerator by giving you the peace of mind to sleep at night, that you will never have another conversation with a patient about dual fee schedules. They feel ripped off. They love you. They appreciate you. They recognize your value. Again, that's one of our core values with Blue IQ. You are valuable. What you do is valuable, and helping us treat our community and becoming the leaders of the healthcare organizations. Dr. Foxworth, thank you for joining. I just got to point out, we've got a Frog Lee on the show. We've got a Foxworth on the show, man. If you don't have an animal name, you're missing out.
As I was sharing with Corey earlier, I even brought along my mascot.
I love it. I love it. Again, one of our fellow Blue IQ Nation members, Dr. Foxworth, you are amazing. Thank you for what you're doing for the profession. Again, guys, click the link.